Yeah, my mic wasn't even on. I'm just talking. I don't know if y'all heard what I said. But anyway, welcome to the 4th episode of Life Unmothered, a journey from hopelessness to hope. And I really pray that everybody is doing well today. I pray that y'all watch the first 3 episodes where y'all gain a little bit more knowledge. Because I only give y'all this much per week. Literally, an hour is not enough research. And, if y'all get y'all pen, paper, just dive in, y'all. Dive in. However, I want to thank y'all. I really do. I am really grateful and appreciative for the love that I have received, right? And it's crazy. It is crazy because you get more love from strangers than anybody. That's going to help you push. It's going to keep you pushing. So I really appreciate everybody. And I'm not saying everybody is a stranger, because everybody that I meet, I am connected to them one way or another. And I just really appreciate it, So last week we touched on chronic emotional neglect. That's what we touched on last week, right? And I encourage y'all to go back and watch the first video. I also encourage y'all to get on YouTube. Get on YouTube. Life Unmothered on YouTube, because a lot of my seasoned followers don't have social media. And so this Life Unmothered is going to be transitioning from this platform to YouTube, because social media right now is unpredictable. We don't know. And plus, I don't like how this is lagging my videos. Like, my videos is lagging, and I don't like that. So I encourage y'all, follow my YouTube channel. Follow the channel, because pretty soon I'm not going to be doing this on live on this platform. I'm gonna be strictly over on YouTube. So I encourage y'all to follow me over there. But let's jump right on in. So last week we talked about chronic emotional neglect, right? We talked about how it impacted us from the age of 0 all the way until in our adult years, right? But it started at the age of 0, and it got really in depth by the age of 2 to 7. So, and then it progressed from there. So I encourage y'all to go back and watch that video. This week, we about to jump into toxic, dysfunctional families, because let's be honest, right? A lot of people don't think that they grew up in toxicity. They just don't. And it's okay, because you don't know, So, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, I didn't grow up like that. And and my parents was this, and that. I'm glad, but if people can resonate with me, we didn't grow up like that. Right. And so I want to make people aware of actually what a dysfunctional family is. I need y'all to be aware of this, right? A lot of us know as we got older, of course, we grew up in a dysfunctional family, but I need to break this down, right? So we finna jump on in. I hope y'all got y'all pen and paper. Take notes of this, right? Okay. So, and I got to put on my readers, y'all. I'm old. I'm getting older, which is a blessing, but I got to see. So it says, to understand what it means to be a toxic, dysfunctional family, we have to go far beyond surface level terms of arguments and bad communication. We must unpack emotional, environmental, generational roots, and psychological impact that defines dysfunction and toxicity, especially when they are part of the family system, right? So let's jump on in here. A toxic dysfunctional family is a family system where emotional, psychological, or physical harm is normalized. Unresolved trauma is passed down, and unhealthy behavior patterns are reinforced rather than corrected. Now, I told y'all we have to understand our patterns, and it clearly says unhealthy behavioral patterns that has been passed down in a dysfunctional family, right? So the lack of emotional safety, the power imbalances, cycle of abuse and neglect, poor boundaries, suppressed individuality. This dysfunction becomes toxic when it is chronic, when it is normalized, and when it's emotional damaging, often leading to long-term effects on self-worth, identity, relationships, and even health problems, y'all. So when the dysfunction comes toxic, right? It says when it comes toxic, it leads to long-term effects, y'all. Long-term effect. So if we experience this in a younger age, it's going to follow us. That's what it means. Long-term effects, especially if they go unaddressed. And they do. They go unaddressed because we don't know this. Don't nobody talk about this, right? So I want to jump into it says what makes a family toxic, right? Oh, y'all. What makes a family toxic? Toxicity is just not loud arguments or discipline. It's a pattern of emotional harm, denial, and repeated trauma that becomes so normalized, it starts to feel like love. Whew. Y'all, that's deep. It becomes so normalized that toxic starts to feel like love, right? A toxic family isn't defined by the mistakes. It's defined by the refusal to acknowledge or repair those mistakes. That's where that accountability come in, right? Nobody want to hold accountability for their mistakes that they made. They just go on and won't address it and just keep living, right? So it says the core traits of toxicity. The core traits of toxicity. Love is conditional. Y'all hear that? Love is conditional. You're only accepted when you shrink yourself, perform, or obey in a toxic household. That's when you start feeling loved, right? That's when you feel a little bit acceptance. But in order to even receive that, you got to shrink yourself, perform, or obey. Y'all, how many of us did that? Perform. Because I told y'all, right? When you're not there for emotionally for your children, and you so much a disciplinarian for your children, they're not going to be themselves around you. What they're going to do is they're going to be who you want them to be. That's performance. Trust me. I know. I'm speaking from experience, and I promise you I ain't the only one. But we're going to keep going. Truth is punishment, right? Speaking up about abuse or dysfunction makes you the problem. Ain't that sad? Speaking up about dysfunction or abuse, it makes you the problem. Pain is minimized. Your suffering is compared, denied, or dismissed. Growth is discouraged, right? Growth is discouraged. You're trying to change threatens the system stability. You trying to change will change the system's stability, right? So that's when your mom When she see that you trying to do something positive, she would cut that off. And especially if you're dealing with a narcissistic mother, right? Because you can't be better than them. You can't outshine them. You just cannot, right? So you trying to just even attempting to change, that threatens their system stability that they already formed, right? So they are our foundation. So they formed the structure of their household. So if you trying to change it, that's a no-no. So it said this environment makes emotional health feel unsafe. You become afraid of being real. Come on. You become afraid of being real in your own household. Y'all, that is deep. That's deep, right? So we're going to keep going. So it says how dysfunction forms in a family's foundation. How dysfunction forms, how dysfunction forms a family's foundation, right? Most dysfunctional families don't start off evil. They are built from brokenness that no one healed. It's built from brokenness that nobody healed, right? So generational trauma, slavery, racism, poverty, incarceration, segregation, forced silence, lack of access to mental health care, right? So I'm reading y'all how dysfunction forms a family system. Cultural silence. Black families don't go to therapy. Y'all, come on. Keep our business out the street. Come on, spirit. That's how the family's dysfunctional foundation is formed, right? Religious misuse. Oh my God. Now, how many of our parents have really threw that Bible verse at you? Them Bible verses at you, right? Listen to this. Religious misuse. Honor your parents. Use as a weapon against calling out abuse. They use it as a weapon so we don't have to call abuse out. Y'all needed to breathe on that. I needed to breathe on that because, baby, when I walked away, do you know how many people threw that honor thy mother, thy father verse at me? Do you? Let's keep going. It says survival parenting. I raised you, didn't I? You had a roof, food. That's all that matters. These mindsets, it says these mindsets create an emotional desert where feelings die, truth is forbidden, and trauma thrives in silence, y'all. Oh, trauma thrives in silence. Do you understand that? So it's very important that we put a voice to our trauma. We got to talk about it. You have to, right? So it says the family rules, right? So we still talking about how dysfunction forms a family's foundation. We still on that. The family rules, unspoken but enforced, right? These rules are unspoken but enforced. Toxic families don't need to say the rules out loud. You feel them. Don't talk. Hide the truth. Stay silent. Never confront elders. Don't feel. Crying is weakness. Anger is rebellion. Y'all, don't trust. No one protects you. Keep your guard up, though. Don't trust. There ain't nobody gonna be there to protect you, but keep your guard up. Don't outgrow us. Ooh. Healing is betrayal. Do you hear this? It says And we still talking about, y'all know, I got to reinforce this, how dysfunction forms a family's foundation, right? And these are the family lies that I'm saying. Don't outgrow us. Healing is betrayal. Distance is disrespect. These rules make you betray yourself just to feel safe. That's why, come on, spirit. That's why people have it so hard to walk away from what's hurting them, right? Because even though we know inside we have outgrown them or that, meaning person, place, or thing, we outgrown that, right? But if we walk away, that healing feels like betrayal. The distance feels like we disrespecting, you know, and those rules make you betray yourself. Let's keep going. Control through fear, guilt, and obligation. Y'all, this one, come on. Love is not freely given, it's used to control. After everything I've done for you, you're ungrateful. You think you better than us? Blood is thicker than water. Ooh, wee. Baby. The goal, when they say that, keep you emotionally tethered, even if it's destroying you. That's what it is. That's, and we still on how dysfunction forms a family's foundation, right? Emotional landscape, what it feels like. Growing up in a toxic family often means never feeling safe to be yourself, walking on eggshells daily, fake happiness to survive. You know what? I ain't even gonna ring that, but baby, when I seen that and I heard that, fake happiness to survive, that right there, that is putting pain over suffering. That's putting your family image over your pain. Faking happiness to survive. You got to fit in. You got to do what society say. I got to smile because this my mama. I got to smile because this my daddy, this my siblings. I don't care for them for real. But when we out in public, I got to put on a facade. I got to fake happiness, y'all. Fake happiness to survive. It says suppress your needs to protect others, over functioning just to feel enough. Y'all. Let's keep going, y'all. Let's keep going because the information is getting better and better and better. And I pray that y'all really take heed to what I'm saying. Like I told y'all, I try to use every minute of from 8 to 9 to educate y'all on this stuff because it's so important to really, really understand so that it can start making sense for you and the foundation that you were raised in, right? So being in that foundation that we were raised in a toxic, dysfunctional family has rewired our brain. And it's because of these definitions right here, right? And so let's keep going. It says the generational effect of, we still on, and I'm going to keep emphasizing this. We still on how dysfunction forms a family's foundation. The generational effect. No one breaks the cycle. No one breaks the cycle. Emotional neglect becomes normal. Children raises themselves. Ooh. Pain gets rebranded as tough love. Did y'all hear that say? Pain gets rebranded as tough love. So when you hear somebody literally say, I'm giving you tough love, baby, no, you just giving pain. That's pain. The abuse becomes the abuser. Did y'all hear that? The abused becomes the abuser. Generational trauma is inherited like DNA. The family tree rooted in pain. It says the family tree that's rooted in pain produces branches of dysfunction unless someone is brave enough to plant something new. Did you? Come on, man. Come on, y'all. Come on. The The family tree is rooted in pain, produces branches of dysfunction unless someone is brave enough to plant something new. That is a cycle breaker. If there ain't nothing else, baby, that is a cycle breaker. That's somebody say enough is enough. That's somebody that say it ends with me. You got to be brave. It says someone is brave enough. I was brave 12 years ago. Almost 12 years ago. I was brave. I did that. I sacrificed myself for my healing and everything that come from me. I did that. And you can too. You can too. You just got to be willing. You got to stop caring about what somebody thinks of you. I don't care what that look like for you or anything. Your life matters. You are important. You. I had to take my life back into my own hands, y'all. I did. So let's keep going. When you try to leave, now, in the beginning, I'm going to tell y'all, in the beginning, when you try to leave your dysfunctional family unit, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. They're going to talk. They're going to gossip. They're going to do all of that. But baby, don't tilt your crown and keep that armor on that God equipped you with. You hear me? Because it's going to get hard. But stay in the fight. Because you're not fighting for them. You fight for you. Okay? So when you try to leave, trying to heal from a toxic family often brings backlash, it says. You're disrespectful. You've changed. You breaking the family apart is what they're going to say. But truth is, you're not breaking the family apart. You're breaking the curse. That's what it says. That's what it says. It says the way out, what healing requires. Because y'all know I already told y'all I ain't going to take y'all down. I take y'all down, bring y'all back up. So what healing requires, right? Healing means grieving the family you wish you had. That was one of the hardest things for me, of grieving the family that I wish I had, However, I also know that I was thankful because God blessed me with a family that, supports me, is behind me, loves me, truly loves me, unconditional. It does not come with conditions. So God has truly blessed me with that, right? So you have to grieve the family you wished you had. Reparenting your inner child, that's one thing. So I heard a lady talk today, right? And it was so powerful. And she said, at a certain age between 12 and 15, your inner child becomes locked in you, like locked in a cage in you, right? And so You grow up and your inner child is still locked in you. Yes, he or she will open the door and peek out, and that's when all of that toxicity just come out, just feeling unease. She's peeking her, or he's peeking his hair out and rearing, right? However, she said that once you get that inner child locked in you, you are the only one that can go back with the key to open that door. Your adult self has to open the door to release your inner child, right? So I don't care. She said she don't care if you chasing closure, if you want validation or I'm sorry or somebody to acknowledge your pain. They can tell you that they sorry over and over and over and over again. But however, since your inner child is locked behind that door, it's not like you that apology or anything is not going to get to that child. It's not. You know what I'm saying? So you have to do the work. And I tell people, nobody is coming to save you but you. You got the key to unlock your prison. Your key is to go back. That's the key. The key, where you gonna find that key is in your past to unlock that door. So you got to go back, to in order to set yourself free. So it says redefine what family means, rebuilding safety in your own body, setting boundaries and standing on them, right? Understanding you were never the problem. Your awareness just exposed it. That's deep. You were never the problem. Your awareness just exposed it. You do not owe loyalty to the people who taught you to betray yourself, baby. You don't owe loyalty to the people who taught you to betray yourself. Healing from a toxic family, right? We finna heal from these toxic families. Healing starts when you name what happened. Come on. You got to name it in order to change it. I say that all the time. We have to name what happened, and without guilt and shame. We have to do it without guilt and shame. So that means truth telling. You got to name what happened. It's truth telling. Don't sugarcoat what happened to you because you can't change it. It happened, right? So we're going to release the shame. It was never your fault, right? So you need to know that none of this was never your fault. It was literally passed down to you like an heirloom, like pain and trauma and dysfunction was passed to you like an heirloom because it went unhealed and unaddressed from the person who passed it down. Reparent yourself. Give yourself what you never received, right? So that means when you wake up every day, you got to look in the mirror and you got to validate what you see because change starts in the mirror, right? So you have to look at yourself and validate who you see in the mirror. And I know it might not feel right and it might be uncomfortable because the first time I did it, I looked in the mirror and I told myself, I love you. And I didn't believe it. I did not believe it. I didn't, but let me tell you something. I did it every day until it started feeling right, until I started feeling comfortable, and until I knew that was for real. Like, I love you. And now I just be all up in the mirror like, girl, you got it going on. I don't wait on nobody validation to tell me that I love me, because I love me. So you have to equip yourself with the things that you never got. Don't get dressed up to go outside to wait on somebody to tell you that you're beautiful. You should feel this and know this before you step out the door. Build new relationships based on mutual respect and not survival, right? So that's very powerful. It says seek therapy, support, and trauma informed education, right? So, and I just want to put this out there. If anybody see this video, and I don't care what city you in, if you know of any grief therapists, trauma therapists, or somebody that do, therapy, I would like to gather your information so that every episode, at the end of the episode, that I can give resources. So, we have technology, Zoom. So, a lot of people don't have to go into the office, but if I can pass that information on, that will be amazing, to help my community to have more resources of where they can go to start their healing. So that'd be great. If you see this, a therapist, tag them in this post, DM me and let me know so that every episode I can shout them therapists out and give you an avenue of which way that you can start, going to start your healing. So anyway, we know that a lot of households use a lot of Bible verses, right? And they misuse the Bible verse, right? So I wanted to break this down because it was just on me to break this down. So it says the phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child, has been deeply misunderstood, especially in the many Black households, and often weaponized to justify physical punishment. But when you look at the historical, biblical, and cultural context, the meaning is much deeper and more symbolic than people realize, right? So it says the exact phrase, spare the rod, spoil the child, is not a direct biblical verse. It comes from a 17th century poem by Samuel Butler, but the closest related Bible verse is Proverbs 13:24, where this is what it said when I looked it up. So it says, whoever spares the rod hates their children, but the one who loves their children is careful to discipline them, right? It says it's careful to discipline them. What rod means in biblical terms, right? Because we really need to understand this. What rod means in biblical terms. In biblical context, the rod wasn't just a tool for punishment. It was a shepherd's staff. Shepherds didn't beat their sheep. They used their rod to guide, protect, and correct when the sheep strayed, not injure them. The rod represented discipline through direction, not violence. Think gentle correction and loving boundaries, not fear-based control, right? It says many dysfunctional families, especially within the Black community, who were taught survival over regulation. This verse was misused. It says that it became a justification for abuse and not discipline. It taught children that pain equals love. A dangerous message that leads the cycle of trauma, y'all. It leads the cycle of trauma. It erases the responsibility of parents to teach, nurture, and explain. I hit you because I love you became the norm. But in truth, love should never hurt that way, right? So it says what the scripture really teaches. Biblical discipline in its true form is firm but loving, corrective, not abusive, guiding, not controlling, consistent, not reactive, rooted in principle, not pain and generational wounds. Y'all, Misusing scripture to justify harm creates confusion between love and violence, leaves children growing up afraid of love and authority, reinforce generational trauma passed off as righteousness, y'all. Let's reclaim the true meaning. It says, let's reclaim the true meaning of discipline. It comes from the word discipline, to teach, guide, and lead. It's about building up, not breaking down. It's how you model self-control, compassion, and healthy boundaries, not punishment out of anger. Spare the rod. You was never given the green light to beat a child, y'all. It was a call to guide them lovingly, consistently, and with wisdom. Discipline without understanding is just punishment. And punishment without love is trauma in disguise. Y'all, come on. Come on. I mean, spare the rod, spoil the child. That's what it says. You know, it's not about beating your children. It's about guiding them. So, you know, I know that in a lot of households that was used. That was just meaning. And I'm not even gonna lie, before I researched that, that's what I thought. Like, spare the rod, I'm gonna whoop your to make you, you know, just y'all, we got to do it different, right? So I wanted to look up another Bible verse because I wanted to know, because this was constantly, like, I constantly hear this, right? Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will never depart from it, right? This verse is often quoted in the Black household as a justification of strict discipline, harsh control, and rigid behavior enforcement. But just like spare the rod is often misapplied, stripped of its deeper wisdom, and used more to control than to guide, right? Let's unpack this. If I control, punish, and enforce my child into the right path, they'll stay there. But that's not what it actually says or means. Train up a child. In Hebrew, the word is train kanat, meaning to dedicate, prepare, or set apart, not punish. It applies nurturing a child with intentional guidance, not not blind correction, right? It also meant teaching them with the uniqueness of their nature in mind, not one size. It says not one size fit all parents, right? In the way he should go. So that's train up a child in the way he should go. This does not mean morally right or wrong. In the original Hebrew, it can be interpreted as according to their ways, meaning their personality, gift, purpose, or design. It's about guiding children in alignment with who they were created to be, not who the parents wanted them to be. Y'all, come on. How many of us grew up trying to be a mini of our mother? Like, we had to be who she wanted us to be. I know that's my story. I promise y'all. That's my story, right? So it says, You're not just raising a child for obedience. You're stewarding their soul into becoming who they were called to be, y'all. And a lot of us that we raise our children, we don't listen to their dreams. How many of y'all actually ask your child, what do you dream to be? What do you want to be growing up, right? We don't. Especially if your parent was very successful in a field like a nurse, a doctor, a preacher, just very, very successful, law enforcement, whatever the case may be. And because they made a great living, guess what they want their children to be? Following their footsteps. Come on, I need you to be in this field because of I made a great living. You see, I got a house. That's not their calling. And that's probably why a lot of children struggle. Y'all see that people will go to school for 4 to 5 years being what their parents wanted them to be. And then when they get out of school, they have a hard time finding a job, not happy on the job because that was not their calling. Let's keep going. The next part of that verse says, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. This is a principle, not a guarantee. Proverbs are wisdom sayings, not legal contracts. It means when you nurture and raise a child in alignment with truth, love, and their design, those roots will run deep. Even if they stray, they'll remember what was real, loving, and wise, right? It says, how is this misused in a dysfunctional household? How is this scripture misused in a dysfunctional household? In many Black dysfunctional families, this verse is turned into a license for control. Did y'all hear that? Train up a child, train up becomes forced into submission. The way he should go becomes what I say, how I say it, or else. Will not depart becomes become you're a failure if your child doesn't turn out the way you wanted them to. Yeah. This produced, it says this produced a fear-based parenting rooted in shame, suppression of identity, emotional and spiritual abuse disguised as righteousness. What it should look like instead, training a child should be rooted in relationship, not religion or routine. Filled with curiosity about who your child really is. Modeled by action, not just rules, y'all. Focus on connection over compliance. Raise children to be secure, seen, and supported, not just obedient. So you want to raise your children to be secure, to be seen, and supported, not just obedient. You didn't raise your children. It said you don't raise children to be perfect. You raise them to know how to return to themselves when the world tries to make them forget who they are. And how can you do that when you so hard on your child? Where's a soft place to land? Where's your child's soft place to land if you so hard on them? You know the world is hard. You know society is hard. So where do they come back to land, right? And I know our parents didn't have a landing spot either, and they passed on down to us that we aren't supposed to take a break. You ain't supposed to rest. You supposed to work, 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 work. pay bills, and die. Right? So that's what was embedded in us. But that's not true. It says, train up a child in the way he should go isn't about force, it's about information. It is not about perfection, it's about presence, y'all. It's not about molding a child into your image, but nurturing them into their own calling. Y'all, we got to stop forcing our children to be like us, right? We have to, because that is suppressing them. That is taking them into a dark place, right? And they gonna conform in front of you. Trust me, they are. But I can guarantee you that it's a lot of parents that will sit in the same room as a child and will tell you, oh, my child is great. My child is very well mannered and everything. But baby, when you turn your back, like I'm let's be real. You know what I'm saying? They're acting the way you want them to act because they have to in order to feel safe around you, right? But that's not who they are. That's not who they are. So that's why they say, kids get real loose when they parents ain't around. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that because you done conformed them into being this way, and that's not who they are. So we have to be really, really careful when it comes to us, right? Raising our children, even speaking to them. And so it's y'all, let me read this on how I think this is but yes, so y'all, this right here is really, it's a really deep subject. It really is, because I need for people to really understand the dynamics of their household, what they were raised in, because people out here will tell you all day, "Oh, my household wasn't that bad. I turned out fine." Did you really? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you really turn out fine? So, but it's a building blocks of dysfunction. Let's break down what happens in the system. Roles are assigned to your children, right? Children are given roles, not freedom. That's deep. Roles of a golden child. The one who can do nothing wrong. Wound it creates. Pressure to be perfect. No identity of their own. That's the golden child. The one who can do no wrong. It pressures them to be perfect and no identity of their own. The scapegoat, the blamed one, the truth teller, right? Idolize shame, deep emotional isolation. I dealt with that. The hero, the overachiever, tries to fix the family, burnt out, guilt, and anxious, right? Anxiety. That's the wound that it creates. The mascot uses humor to distract. Avoidance. The wound it causes avoidance and emotional immaturity. The lost child. The description is withdrawn and invisible. Wounds it creates deep loneliness, emotional suppression. Parentified child becomes the caretaker. No childhood, resentment, and codependency. These roles are assigned, not chosen. And they are often lifelong prisons. Do y'all understand what it just said? These are often lifelong prisons unless consciously broken, right? So that's why I told y'all it's so important that we understand what we got passed down to us unconsciously. We have to become aware of these things. That's why I said come to class on time. Class start at 8 o'clock Thursday sharp. Y'all know, with your pen and your paper so y'all can get these definitions so it can start making sense to you. Because if not, we struggling. And we gonna struggle, right? Unless somebody says otherwise. We don't know how to do something different until we hear different, until we know that there's something different to do, right? So the lady I was talking about earlier, she said, how can you drop the ball if you were never given the ball to drop? It makes sense, right? So we don't know what emotions feel like if we never was able to express ourselves. We didn't even know what emotions were. We was just taught to suck it up. Suck it up. We couldn't even talk about it. So how can somebody say that they know how they're truly feeling? The only thing that you're knowing is the reactions that you are experiencing in your body. But you really don't have names to this. There's no, you don't have the names to what your body experiencing, right? So it says breaking the cycle, replacing pain with principle. To truly break the cycle, y'all running gonna get that. Yeah, you're gonna get that. To truly break the cycle, we must stop parenting the way trauma taught us to and start leading with from principle, core truth that promotes safety, growth, and healing, right? Rules from pain, right? These are the rules from pain because I said so. Rules from principle. Let me explain why this matters. Rules from pain. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. Rules from principle. It's okay to feel that way. Let's talk about it. Rules from pain. You don't question me. Rules from principles. Let's have a conversation. Rules from pain. That's just how I was raised. Rules from principle. I'm choosing to do things differently, right? So it says children raised in pain will either become people who live in fear or people who break the cycle. Did y'all hear what it said? Did y'all hear that? You either gonna become a person who lives in fear or you gonna become the person who breaks the cycle. Healing requires us to confront how pain shaped our parenting and family system. It demands that we learn emotional literacy, model what we never received, choose accountability over control, and lead with love and not survival, y'all. There are ways to do it different. There's ways to do it different. You don't have to go by your toxic family dynamics, right? Because it's either gonna be healed through you or passed through you. You only got two choices. It's either going to be healed through you or passed through you. So which one are you willing to actually sit with yourself and say, after I heard this, are you willing to do it different? After you hear these that you watch every Thursday that I do, are you willing to do it different? Because now you know there's a different way to doing it, right? Now you know, because before you didn't know. So, you was oblivious. I was unhealed, trauma unaddressed. I didn't know these things. But when I learned these things, I chose to do it different, right? And so that's why I tell people, if you learn this, and if you even hear this, if this information even touch your ear gate, for you to know that it's another way to do it instead of still passing down trauma, then you choosing not to change. And that's just what it is. You choosing not to change. Even if you don't even just, you hear this and you don't even put it, you know how they say knowledge is powerful when it's shared and applied. So even if you hear this, you have to apply it. You have to apply it in order to make a change, right? So I didn't get to read my statement, and y'all, this the last week. Y'all gonna see my bare wall. My bare wall. I got a banner coming and everything, but that's okay. This is humble beginnings for me, so I'm grateful regardless. So this show was born from pain I never deserved and the healing I fiercely fought for. I know what it's like to be unmothered, to grow up without nurture, protection, or the I love yous I needed. To be raised in trauma told me to stay silent and expect to smile through it all. But I also know what it's like to break the cycle, reclaim your voice, and rewrite your story. My mission, my life's purpose is to shine the light on childhood trauma and abuse, the pain that most people are too scared to talk about. This isn't just a show. It's to expose the wounds we were taught to hide and to help others to do so. It's a movement, a mirror, and a safe house for truth. It's for the ones who were told to get over it, but never had the chance to process it. It's for the inner child still wanting to be seen. Because healing isn't just personal, it's generational. And I'm not just doing it for me. I'm healing for my lineage and to help others do the same. So if you ever felt unseen, unloved, or unmothered, you are not alone, and we are walking this walk together. So I pray that somebody took something from this episode tonight. I ask that you share it out, because the more that it gets shared out, the more it will get into the right places of the people who needs this. And once again, I thank y'all so much for y'all encouraging words. I thank y'all for just giving this book a chance and an opportunity to make a difference in your life, because I know just by me creating this, it's still making a difference in my life, and I'm the one that put it together, but I'm also following and doing the work still, because my healing is every day. It's every single day. I can't come on here and tell y'all that I'm fully healed and none of that. My healing is every day. And the more I talk about it, the more I heal. So that's why I bring y'all Life Unmothered. So with that being said, this is just not a moment. This is a movement. And thank you for watching another episode of Life Unmothered. Please, I encourage y'all to go follow my YouTube channel, because I'm going to start doing lives on YouTube and kind of convert over from Facebook to YouTube. So because I have a lot of seasoned followers that don't have social media. So I'm thankful for that. And then plus it lags my videos, and I don't, whatever the case may be, y'all go follow me over there on YouTube. But with that being said, y'all have a blessed night. Please do your research, because in an hour I give y'all this much. That's it. But it goes beyond this hour. So do your research, do your studyings, and I pray that everyone has a safe and blessed rest of this week. Enjoy, be safe, drink your water, mind your business, and I love y'all. So until next week, y'all have a great